Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Ram. This is where the story of Ramayana started. There is a place of utmost importance called the Lanka, or in modern day known as Sri Lanka. And since then, the ties of India and Sri Lanka have been connected, not just economically, but also culturally. I have with me Sri Lankan leader Namal Rajapaksa, who is here on his visit to Ram Temple. Mr. Namal, how do you see cultural ties envisioning between India and Sri Lanka with the Ram Temple?
Well, as you correctly stated, the relationship between Sri Lanka and India, not only diplomatically and economically, but we have a long-lasting cultural and religious relationship between the two nations, and I think this is what bonds us as Sri Lankans and Indians. And I believe even in Sri Lanka, the Ramayana circuit, or Ramayana trail we call it, is very popular among Indian devotees, and there are many Indian devotees who travel to Sri Lanka. And I believe it is the time that we strengthen and promote the Ramayana circuit among Indian pilgrimage. And also I believe Anuradhapura, the Atamasthana Sri Mahabodhin Vahanse at Vanvalisaya, it's something that the Indian or the Ramayana circuit devotees can go, and visitors go and can get blessings in Sri Lanka. So I believe our relationship should be strengthened not only economically and diplomatically, but it has to take to the next generation on a cultural aspect as well.
It has to be taken to the next generation. So are there any plans between the two nations to promote this religious tourism, especially because it is India and Sri Lanka, sharing back historical ties?
Well, yes, I would like to thank Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well. I was here in UP a couple of years ago, at the inauguration of Kushinagar Airport, which is the spiritual city for Buddhism in UP, I believe. So today I'm in Ayodhya. So Indian government has been very much active when it comes to promoting cultural tourism and religious tourism between the two nations. And I believe even the Sri Lankan government and Sri Lankan citizens are very much keen on strengthening the cultural and religious tourism between the two nations. And I would like to invite the devotees who travel to Sri Lanka to visit the Ramayana circuit, to visit Anuradhapura and to get blessings from Sri Mahabodhin Vahanse and also from Vanvalisaya.
In what ways you think Ram Temple can promote peace and stability in the region, especially when it comes to cultural diplomacy?
Well, I mean, the diplomacy is not only at the political aspect and also economic angle of it, but it has always been cultural and religious. So I think this is a place for all the Hindus in the global circuit to come and visit at least once in their lifetime and get blessings from Ram Temple. And also Sri Lanka is a place for all the Hindus and Buddhists to come and get blessings at least once in their lifetime.
One last question, Mr. Namal. What message would you like to convey Indians and Sri Lankans, especially within the significance of the fostering relations between the two countries?
Well, I would like to thank Indian government and people of India who they stood by us during the difficult time, and it was the Indian government, Prime Minister Modi himself, who came forward to give us $4 billion at that time. And today the Sri Lankan tourism is booming, and number one arrivals have become Indian tourists who come to Sri Lanka. So India has always been with Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka has always stood by India. So I believe this is the message that the regional relationship between the diplomatic relationship between the two countries, and it has now gone back to the historic cultural and religious relationship that we both had. So India has always stood by Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka has always stood by India.
Thank you so much, Mr. Namal, for speaking to us. That was Namal Rajapaksa. He's the first Sri Lankan leader to visit Ayodhya.